Missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
So my goal is, I've been going down the rabbit hole about demi because my grays, like at the top with gray blending. Let me look at the picture.
So my only thing is I can tell these are probably old highlights. Usually when you do highlights and then you darken it, you gotta be really careful because the hair is still that blonde underneath. Are we doing a haircut too?
Yes.
Yeah. How much did you want to cut?
I like my hair long, so I just
Okay.
need shape.
Yeah, I'm thinking shape would be here.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like the front, we just need to figure out, because like for me, I
It
curl my
looks-
hair back, and it's like when he did it last time, it was like
It
just-
wasn't flipping the way.
Yeah, it
you
just
know.
was the opposite, and it's like I went back, and it was like
Yeah.
I just kept on having to always go back, and it's just like I don't have time to do that.
So essentially, you want to do highlights, and then you want to put demi in between to blend, like I've done with that client.
Yeah, and don't you but also you're the professional, so like
So you know that the demi, you'll still see the gray, it just won't be as white.
right.
Okay.
Yes, I do know, but is that what you think should be done?
I always say let's do the least first.
Right.
So if you can get away with just doing highlights without the demi, that's what I would recommend first.
Without
So-
demi? Oh, I need demi.
You need
I
it?
know,
Okay, if
yeah.
you already know that you need it.
Oh,
then-
yeah.
So the only thing I want to say is that if he did permanent color throughout this area, it might be a little stubborn. So I'll try to get you as light as possible, but if your hair doesn't get as light as we need it to for those ashy tones, we might have to do something darker, or it's going to be warmer. Okay, so you want to give it a shot, do the highlights, do the demi in between, see how light you get, and then we'll see from there what tone we can do and what would look best to try and get you in the more ashy family.
Yes, and do you think that I should start with less highlights, or do you think? Because
Yeah, we can.
it's up for you, like what you think. Because it's not about being lighter. I just want my hair to look good. So
Yeah, let's do something dimensional and not do it too much. Because also it takes time for it to get more and more solid. Like the photos that you showed me, those are usually my client's second or third appointment.
right.
So when they first come to me, it's a little bit more dimensional than those photos.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So as you can see in our consultation from my client, this is a brand new client and we are wanting to go a little bit more lighter. She wasn't feeling her hair color or the past color that she's been getting. She wanted something that was going to give her a little bit more blending and dimension throughout everything. So we're going to be going in, doing like a foliage placement, and then doing that demi base that she wanted to kind of blend and cover her gray a bit more. So I'm going to go start off with using the Danger Jones powder lightener. So this lightener is on the stronger side, I would say, because it has 9+ levels of lift. So as my first bowl, I did a mixture of their 5 volume with their 20 volume to kind of dilute that 20 volume, and then mix that 1 to 2 with the developer. So I'm going to be going in with my signature foiling placement. If you are new here, I will give you a quick overview of this placement. So right now I just did a detail hairline around the nape, and typically that hairline foil will typically be a weave. It could be like a baby light or a medium-sized weave. Depending on the texture of the hair and density. It just depends on how bright I want that, because essentially right there at the nape around the hairline, that is going to be part of essentially like their money piece. When they bring their hair forward in front of their shoulders, that kind of connects that money piece from the top to the bottom. So I always like to put a foil there no matter what. Even sometimes when I do partial highlights, I will also just add a foil there, because I just feel like I don't love seeing that area super dark when they bring their hair forward. So regardless of partial or full, I normally will do a detail hairline because I do consider that part of the money piece. So after that, you can go see that I'm going in right now and pretty much doing slices, and I did a center parting in the back. You can see I just kind of split that back into just one section, and I'm just going in And pretty much I call this my mohawk section because I'm practically just taking a single section all the way up from the back all the way towards the top, just like in the shape of a mohawk. And as I'm going through, I'm making sure that my slices are pretty spaced out. We wanted something that is more on the dimensional side, like we said earlier. So I am going in and just making sure that my slices are a little spaced out. I'm not trying to weave anything because I do want to give her a good amount of impact with each foil. So I am going in just kind of pretty much slicing and making sure that my slices are nice and see-through so that I get a really clean, easy, and even lift. And so another thing I want to note too, by now, since I'm on the top of the head, this is kind of where I'm using just 20 volume, and I will continue to use 20 volume just for the rest of the head because I don't normally like to go above 20 volume. I feel like 20 volume is a good standard to where it doesn't lift the hair too fast, but it's not too slow either. It's like a nice steady strength in my opinion. So once I get closer towards the top and the money piece, I'll turn my client over and kind of do a detail money piece there. And so for her money piece, we didn't really technically want anything that was going to be too bold in the front. She wanted something that was more low maintenance. So whenever a client wants something low maintenance, I always let them know that if they do a bolder money piece, that will create your color to be a little bit more higher maintenance, only because when you have something that's more solid around the hairline, such as highlights against hair that is naturally darker, then the regrowth will be a little bit harsher. Like for example, if I did slices around her whole hairline back to back, when that grows out, it will just be a harsh line. But if I were to do just maybe like a couple baby lights, like what I did on her, it will create a really soft but blended hairline compared to these slices. So that's exactly what I did for her. I did a couple baby lights on her hairline and then connected it with some slices all the way to the other side of the mohawk. And you can see here, I'm still working on that center section. While I was doing the foils, you could see that my assistant was kind of parting the hair aside because I'm going to be doing tip outs as well too. So I'll split the hair according to where the clients will part it, and that's where I will have the hair separated so that we have it nice and organized when we do the tip outs. So as she was doing that, after I did the foils, you could see that I did that tint in between with the demi. I used the Danger Jones gloss toners, and I believed I used a 6-0, which is a level 6 natural, and that is going to be enough to just blend her gray a little bit. The trick with this is to put it under heat for at least like 10 minutes or so. And what the demi will do is it will kind of give the sheerest coverage onto the white hairs, depending on the density too. Her hair is a bit more on the finer side, so I knew it was going to cover. So I did a level 6 and it was perfect. Even when we washed out the whole color and everything, most of her gray was pretty much covered in my opinion, but the demi can fade over time, and the reason why I like to use it is because it does not alter the natural hair in between if you use it with the 5 volume. I have seen that it can bump the base a bit if you use anything higher than a 5 volume, but it's very subtle. It's not even that much because it's still a demi. So when she was under the dryer, you can see she lifted pretty evenly, but I kept checking her, putting the dryer on top of her head and on the ends of her hair according to wherever it was warmer. And sometimes I'll do this when a client has different zones of like permanent color or old highlights that we need to kind of watch and make sure that nothing gets over processed, and we try to make sure that everything lifts really evenly. And you could see when we pulled out those foils, everything did look relatively even. It wasn't like maybe some parts were off by just a level. It wasn't even like 2 to 3 levels, so it made it really simple for me to do her toner. So for her toner formulation, at her root, we are using the gloss toners. We're doing a 6-01, which is a level 6 natural ash, and this is going to ash out her root and give her a really pretty blend so that when everything grows out and fades, it just is super soft. She doesn't see any lines, even though we did a bunch of slices all over her head. It's going to give a very soft grow out. And then for her mids and ends, I am using And then for her ends, I used a different brand of toner, which I mixed in a level 8 violet with a level 6 blue, and it creates a really pretty, like, grayish neutral tone.
No warmth.
Great. How's the blend and everything? Good. Take a look at like the very roots and the demi.
Yeah, it's great.
Pretty. Feels good? Yeah.
Alrighty guys, so here is what her hair looked like in front of the salon in indirect lighting. We love the way that this came out and just like blended in with everything. I feel like that demi in between her highlights definitely did a really good job at like covering a lot of her gray. She did mention later that she could have maybe skipped out on the demi, but we'll see as this totally fades out how she feels in her next appointment. And eventually sometimes when clients continue to go a little bit lighter, they do kind of stop doing the demi in between as they start to transition into having something that is going to blend their grays a little bit more. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.